guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today in the Ask SSM video series, got an email from a subscriber. This guy sounds like he's about my age, probably late 40s, couple kids, married like 20 years, good thing going with his marriage. And he's writing and asking my advice as well as you guys about a little situation that's come up. You see, he's found out from a reliable source that a buddy of his and former co-worker, not a best friend, but a friend, it turns out that that guy's wife was cheating on him a few years ago. This guy found this out from a reliable source, and his dilemma is he wants to tell the friend here. However, he says his buddy here is finally has a kid on the way. He and the wife have been trying for years to have a kid, and now finally she's pregnant. And of course, you know, he doesn't want to break up a family and all that. Now, he obviously wants to tell him and knows that she was in the wrong, but still, because there's a kid on the way, he has some issue and he wants to hear my opinion on this. And by the way, I'm sure you're all thinking what I'm thinking here. Oh, been trying for kids for years, but now suddenly she's pregnant, kid on the way? Uh-huh. But we're going to go over here, guys, because in my opinion, always, if you find out that some dude's wife is cheating on him, you got to tell him. I mean, what if it was you? Wouldn't you want to know? But anyhow, I'm going to read his story here, and then we can all jump in. Oh, and by the way, guys, I've been saying it all week. If you happen to be on X, formerly Twitter, come check me out. SSM Channels, that's the handle there. You'll see it below. We're having a good time over there and trying to grow the numbers so I can really market the channels because, you know, over here, the YT secret police don't like me growing too much. So definitely come on by. We're all having a good time. So he says here, hey, SSM, I'm in a weird situation that I don't know how to handle. I previously worked with a guy we will call Mike that has been transferred to a different location. We're friends, but not best friends. He is a private guy, and my interactions with him are primarily work-related. We've gone hunting into the gun range together a few times, but not more than 10 times in 4 years. I don't know his wife. He has met my family on one occasion. Since he was transferred, our interactions are a couple of texts a month. Well, obviously, after all those years of hanging out, working together, if you never met his wife or know her, then you obviously weren't that close. And frankly, given how this is going, it's a good thing you didn't meet her. Well, I was speaking the other day with another guy at work we will call Steve, and it turns out that his wife works with Mike's wife. Aha. At this point, I don't even know Mike's wife's name. Steve was laughing about how Mike's wife is constantly going through Mike's phone looking for any sign of cheating. How interesting. Steve's wife also began going through his phone on the advice of Mike's wife. So Mike's wife, as we're going to find out, is a cheater, and she's going through your buddy's phone. Cheaters always think that everybody else is a cheater. That's interesting. And now she's getting this dude you work with, Steve, his wife, snooping on him. What does this say? He thought it was funny because his wife would tell him stories about Mike's wife bragging about hanging out with a firefighter in her car at lunch multiple times a week. Steve finds this funny. Steve sounds like a fucking moron. My facial expression changed and he started backtracking. He didn't realize I knew Mike because we were no longer at the same facility. I told him I was going to tell Mike, but he swears it was a couple of years ago. Steve sounds like a dipshit and a pussy. He was gossiping like a fucking woman. Then he didn't realize you were friends with Mike, and there you go. He thinks it's funny that about this dude's wife was hanging out with a firefighter in the car at lunchtime multiple times a week years ago. What do you think they were doing? Talking fire safety? Teaching her how to use a fire extinguisher? No. I typically have no issue telling a person that I was really close with this information, but Mike just found out his wife is pregnant after years of trying. The cheater is now suddenly pregnant after years of them trying. One would certainly think that this ain't his kid. I have no idea if this was an issue earlier in the marriage or even if this is Mike's kid. I'm your age and Mike is in his early 30s. That poor bastard. I've spoken to 2 other people that are closer to Mike than me about the situation, and they both think this is years ago. In other words, since it was years ago, just let it go. Well, you said you spoke to other people. You consulted other people. Guess what? Most people in this world are fucking idiots. And are just going to do what most other people do. And since most people in this world are unhappy, why be like most people? I consider myself a loyal, almost to a fault friend. But I'm stuck on what I should do. Most people don't discuss this type of stuff with me because while I was wild in my military days and youth, I take a hard line on cheating now. I've been married for 21 years with 2 kids and would want to know immediately if I were in Mike's shoes. It's difficult since I know nothing about Mike's personal life other than gun related, what his situation is, and should I tell Mike what I have heard. I also point out to Steve that they would probably swapping cheating stories and he should check into his own wife. I'm a blunt straight shooter to the point and typically see things as black and white with very few gray areas. Thanks in advance. Yeah, dude, you need to tell Mike immediately. In fact, I don't know how far he lives from you now, but that's a conversation, frankly, that I would talk to him. And I would not talk to him saying, hey, let's go shooting again to the rifle range and then tell him the news when he's armed. No. I would meet up for a coffee or a beer or something and tell him then. And then after that, what happens, because all guys should know. You know, I mean, think about it. Gents, you guys listening, what you want to know? I mean, you want to hear that your girlfriend or wife has done that. Of course, it's heartbreaking, but you got to know. And I guarantee you that if she's done that then, she has a history of this probably for a while. And back to the fact that the kid is on the way. How do you know that's his kid, given the fact that she, A, has a history as a cheater, and B, they've been trying for years to have a kid? It's probably some other dude's kid. And so if you let Mike know about this, even though there's a kid in the way, hopefully, if it turns out that kid isn't his, he can at least have the sense to check do a DNA test when the kid's born or wherever, paternity test, however that's worked out. It may not be his kid, and you'd be saving his life before he signs the birth certificate. And he's in his early 30s, he can end this marriage, because if he's in his early 30s, they couldn't have been together that long. And will he take a hit? Of course, but it's better to know. End of story. And as for this coworker of yours, codenamed Steve, like I said, Steve sounds like a dipshit. I don't know why he's gossiping about Mike, not knowing you know about him, right? Yeah, I would inform him, dude, you better check up on your wife too, because if his wife and that Mike's wife were gossiping about things, and he knew that his wife knew she was a cheater, guess what? She's probably a cheater too. And swapping stories and all that and covering for each other. So I can't stress that enough, guys. I mean, seriously, you find out that your girlfriend or wife knows about some other wife cheating and all that, that says a major thing about her, and it's certainly possible she'll do that to you too. And particularly, it's one thing is, yeah, exactly. So I would inform him of that. So, bro, I'm glad you wrote in. I know you don't want to break up a family and all that, but at the end of the day, you're not really breaking anything up. Mike's wife, is the one who's breaking this whole thing up, and she deserves to be exposed. And again, if you were in his shoes, what do you want to know? So yeah, absolutely tell him and go from there, because we got to have a code, gentlemen, because women sure as hell don't have a code. And yeah, there are scumbags out there, that the Chad and Tyrones, that don't care. They'll bang married women or gals in relationships. They just don't care. They want to spread their seed. It makes them feel big and strong. Well, those guys are fucking pieces of shit, and we got to have a code here, stick to some kind of higher level here. That's what I think. So anyhow, man, absolutely reach out to him. But remember, there's a possibility that he's going to, shoot the messenger, take it out on you. And if that's the case, then don't feel bad about it. You did what you had to do. Because sometimes in these situations, people write into me asking similar questions, and they do it, and then they write back to me saying that person lost their shit. They don't want to talk to them anymore. They don't believe him. And at that point, then you've done your part and you can move on. That's all I can say. And by doing so, you're being a good friend. So definitely tell him, don't do it at the rifle range. For God's sakes, don't do that. Coffee, a beer, preferably coffee, no alcohol involved. Sit him down. And honestly, and frankly, I'm thinking about it because I'm freestyling here. Before you go and do this, I would consult this Steve character again and make sure he doesn't backtrack, because it sounds like he's a pussy and a dumbass, and he'll probably do it. But no, you make sure you find out as much details as possible, when the shit went down, the circumstances, anything you can get, so you can give it to Mike, because Mike's going to want to know all the goddamn details. And then that might lead away Mike can at least maybe do some recon on her and all that, and you guys can work together, who knows, and help him out. Because Mike, he doesn't deserve this. He's in the early 30s. His whole life's ahead of him. He ends it with her, and whether that's his kid or not, regardless, it's over, in my opinion. It should be. And he can move on and start over. And then I might add that you should recommend, because Mike's going to be hurting, man. you'd recommend my channel, and he can start watching this, tell him about me, point out some good videos that can help him, and you can help him save another brother, because we don't want another guy being in a marriage to a cheating wife and raising some other asshole's kid, that type of thing. We don't want that. So we got to do what we got to do to help each other out, bros. All right, guys, as ever today, be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think, guys. And again, if you got a good story to share or a question to ask about some situation you're in, email me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's good, I'll definitely cover it. And this also includes good news articles, crazy stories you find online. Anything send my way, I'll find use for some way or another throughout my channels and over on X and Instagram and all that. I appreciate your help. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.